Hello and welcome to the chapter chat once again. This is our 21st chapter chat during the general chapter of the Missionary Oblates of Mary Immaculate. I cannot believe that we have done 21 chapter chats. And just the second chapter chat, which I might call the Bongaless chapter chat. Because we do not have Father Bonga, your usual presenter. And of course, he'll come back hopefully tomorrow for the next episode tomorrow. So another Bongaless chapter chat. Here with me, we have three great oblates with me, and I'm honored to host this along with them. And I can introduce themselves, but just I may say one thing. These three are holding three big responsibilities in the chapter, at the chapter. And I myself, we all are called auxiliary personnel or auxiliary members of the chapter. So we are not the delegates, we are not the so-called capitulars, but we are behind the scene, we are behind the screen doing a lot of work. And let me introduce these great personalities, Father Mokone, Father Joseph Firi, and Father Fernando, but I'm not going to say much about them. I invite them to introduce themselves. Let me start with the one nearest to me, Mokone. Who are you?
Well, I am Mokone Joseph Ratuga, as you have mentioned, and I come from South Africa, and I have been here in Rome for the last 3 years, and I'm at the General House here in Rome, and here at the chapter, I've been invited to come and help with hospitality as a service.
There you go. You heard he is in charge of the hospitality department. I don't know whether you mentioned that you are not just in the general house, but you're the superior of the general house.
Of course, in the spirit of working together, I just said, I am at the general house, but I am at the service of the house as well.
Thank you. And the next is Father Joe. Father Joe, welcome to Chapter Chat.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Joseph Piri, but basically I think people call me Joe Piri, and I always get surprised when people say Joseph Piri. Anyway, that's my name. I'm originally from Zambia. I came to South Africa where I'm working in 2014. My present ministry in South Africa is I'm the president of St. Joseph Theological Institute, and I've been in that ministry for the last 3 years now. Here at the chapter, I was invited to be part of the moderating team. And now that's an exciting job when you think about chairing a meeting of 78 oblates. It has been quite exciting. So my role here as an auxiliary staff is to be part of the moderating team. Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you, Father Joe. So you are a moderator. So, and here we go for the last but not least, Fernando. Introduce yourself. Of course, you are not a stranger to most of our viewers, I believe. Anyway, go ahead.
Right. Yes, we're part of the Oblate Voices, by the way. Right. Click a like if you've seen the Facebook of Oblate Voices and like us. My name is Fernando Velasquez Sanchez. I'm originally from Mexico, but I've been working in the U.S. for many, many, many years. At the moment, I'm in Rome. I'm working on my doctorate in missiology, and I've been invited to the chapter to be part of the Simultaneous Translators. It's a group of oblates who actually simultaneously we translate while the sessions are going on. At times, I've been asked to help to organize the schedules and to look for translators. So that's my work here at the chapter.
Thank you, Fernando. So you are a translator. So now you understand. We have brought to the studio today three personalities or three persons who are in charge of or who help three different services of the general chapter. Actually, thanks to all these auxiliary personnel that the chapter moves on very smoothly. So we have in charge of the hospitality department. We have a moderator in Father Joe, and we have a translator in Fernando. Okay, before we move on to discuss about your own responsibilities and what you do here in NAMI, as we usually do, our viewers know that we do a recap of the day. And we have Joe here, who is usually inside the chapter hall all the time. Joe, can you tell us what happened in the chapter hall today? Give us a small report of it.
Yes, so daily we start at 8:45, our morning session, and then we break at noon so that we can have mass. Then we have lunch, and then we gather at 3:30, and then we go up to 7 o'clock for prayers, and then we finish with supper. And then today, basically, it was the same program. However, today was special, because it was a day when the steering committee was presenting what was discussed yesterday. We are at the stage in the chapter where we are writing a document. Anyway, the capitulars have to write a document and a message. So yesterday, they met in groups to give feedback to the drafting committee. And so the morning part was the presentation of the feedback. And then we broke. The drafting committee went into writing, and the rest of the group were refining their proposals. And so we regrouped at 3 o'clock, where proposals were presented to the chapter assembly. There were about 7 proposals, and so debated on them. The capitals debated on them, and then we finished at 6 o'clock. So it was an exciting day, because there are good proposals. At least everything was positive. They were supported, and so it was easy to facilitate that discussion. So basically today, the main focus was on feedback to the drafting committee so that they can finish writing the message, and then also debating on the proposals to move forward.
Wow, that's interesting. So probably some of our viewers do not know what the drafting committee means. They are the responsible ones to draft the final document which comes out of the chapter, which goes to the oblates around the world and the Mezanodian family at large. And always the document that comes out of the chapter, what we call the acts of the chapter, is a beautiful document. So I'm sure this time also we cannot wait to see the final document. So that's what's going on. Thank you, Joe. And so right now I'm I'm excited to know about the topic of the day. The different auxiliary personnel or the responsibilities. Let me start with Mokone. And Father Mokone, if I'm not mistaken, you have participated in at least a couple of chapters as a capitular, right?
Yeah, at least one.
Okay, correct. So, but this time around, you are an auxiliary member, carrying on your shoulders the big responsibility of hospitality, as we mentioned. But before asking about your responsibility this time, can you recall your past experience of 2016 as a capitular? What are your memories, and how was this chapter different from the last chapter, and what was your overall spirit that animated?
Yeah, last time when we were at the chapter, I was part of the chapter, and it was quite exciting because we had a very vibrant spirit among the different regional groups.
Okay.
But also in our part of the world, we have 2 sub-regions. So there was quite a lot of energy, outside the chapter. We'll be walking and, just exercising just to keep us fit as well. And remembering also one of our members who had passed away, Father Kennedy.
Yes.
During this time, at least we were at least less anxious who is going to go. So we could leave our doors open. But one of the things that was exciting about the last chapter was the whole issue of interculturality. And as I see today, like we are all moving together. So I see a great connection in terms of that chapter that was longing to understand each other, but now the theme has actually emerged as how can we proceed together in terms of formation, even just integrating or, putting all our resources together. So that's quite exciting for me.
Isn't it exciting? I remember very well because I was in charge of the communications department last time around as well, and I remember what you said. Interculturality was a big thing, this time,
Yes.
and I think we have moved forward with that quite nicely.
Yes.
And before we move on to Fernando or Joe, our viewers might be curious to know what does it mean exactly by the Department of Hospitality that you mentioned. Can you explain to us a bit about what this department is and what's your main responsibility, who collaborated with you, and what was your most enjoyable experience being in charge of the hospitality department? And let me add something more, that your work started not during the chapter. Prior to the chapter, you had a lot of preparations to be done. That was
Yes.
part of your responsibility. Explain to us a bit about all that.
Yes, it was quite exciting because at the beginning, I had no idea that I would be coming to the chapter, as a what do you call, auxiliary member and so forth. So when I was asked, I was really blank, and I said, "Well, I will find out as we go along." So one of the things that we had to start right away before the chapter even came was to write invitation letters, and there I collaborated very much with the Secretary General, Father Marek. To invite the oblates, so those who needed invitation letters from all over the world
To obtain visa.
to obtain the visas. And we were very anxious about the COVID situation, but luckily nobody got stuck because of the COVID. Only one member was not able to come because of other reasons, but not because of the letters that we sent out.
Right.
And even now at the later stage, we had to organize transport for people to come to the actual place, since this time the chapter is not in Rome, but now it's outside Rome.
Yeah.
So we had to organize transport from the airport to Nemi, and then we're also now working at these days to organize the final details to take the people back at home to the airport and also to our general house, where they will be maybe settling in before they could settle. And one of the persons that we're working very closely with was Father Tom Ovali, who was the chapter commission, but now he remained this time to oversee the auxiliary staff, and he has been working very hard closely with us in terms of facilitating whatever needs to be facilitated. And I had a very great team of scholastics from the Vermicino Scholasticate and from the Mediterranean province. And I can mention them by name just to,
of course, yes,
indicate who were
yes.
these people. One of them was Petro Lucaciu from Romania.
Yeah.
Romania. And then also you had Michael Clier from Germany Central Province, of the European Central Province. And then we also have Francesco Falbo from the Mediterranean Province. And along the way, as we work together to really be present in the chapter, but also to take care of the needs of the chapter members, that has been very exciting, because we were organizing different things. First of all, our presence was highly appreciated.
Yes.
Our listening to what was happening in terms of what people needed, but also providing the necessary information, be it just health issues and all that. We were very diverse in terms of our gifts as we did. And then also just to welcome people, even in our office, we put some chairs where people could rest, could discuss, could sing, could do other things. But also we worked very closely with other teams, like those who were doing the liturgy for us. We formed one big team, and it brought a very inspiring atmosphere in the chapter.
Yeah, I must admit that, and I witnessed what you are saying. That you worked as one big team together with the scholastics who were helping the liturgy department as well.
Yeah.
And it's so exciting and it's so beautiful to see that we work as a team. And that was very much highlighted when the Superior General, Father Chicho, met all the auxiliary personnel as well. The team spirit that we have.
Yeah.
That's a plus point to all of us. Now, Fernando, you are a translator, and I'm sure it is not your first time as a translator, because I remember you translating even during the last chapter. Can you please once again help our viewers understand the importance of the so-called simultaneous translators? Let us not also forget the other group of translators who are the written translators. And now, coming back to the simultaneous translators, tell us that what you do and how many sets of translators you have, and even those who are helping from homes. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Like I said, I'm part of the team of simultaneous translators. And my case, this is my third chapter that I've been helping as a simultaneous translator. And what that means is somebody who is simultaneously translating everything that is being said. Since the congregation has three official languages, it's English, Spanish, and French. Everything that is said has to be translated or provided in those languages. So in case somebody speaks French, then somebody has to translate into English and into Spanish and so on. So we are 13 simultaneous translators. This year we have, this chapter, we have the simultaneous translators here at the chapter. Usually even the written translators were present at the chapter, but now thanks to the different ways of connection virtually, the majority, if not all of them, all the written translators are all over the world. So something that they need to translate into those three languages, then they are sent it by email and then they send it back. We are 2 by booth, by language, and that means there are 4, so 2 by each set of time, usually, but not necessarily like that. But in the morning, there is 2 people in each booth for each language. But there are other 2 who come in the afternoon. So there are 2 people by language and 4 people that translate into different languages. So basically, we're 12. We also have one that is translated into Polish. So that's a difficult, just translating one language is difficult, but he has to listen to another one who is translating. So therefore he can translate it to Polish. And that was a special case, it's been different times when a capitular does not know any other language and then has to bring his own translator. So we take turns. It's been a very nice experience, and also we do the same thing when there is interchapters, and we work as a team. And if there is a need for something, you just say we have a WhatsApp group, and then hey, we need this, and then people, it's really usually very open to help. We have sessions in the morning, we have sessions in the afternoon. And even we have sessions, not every day, but many times, a few times in the evening after dinner. So it's sometimes it's a heavy job. So sometimes 2 translators have to switch times in the morning and the afternoon when the translation becomes very heavy. But it's really a service to the congregation, and it's a very inspiring service indeed in the chapter.
Yes, it is indeed very inspiring. Here we see the great Fernando with Mario Antoine. Yeah, it's beautiful that you see you see the chapter in a different point of view, rather, you have your own little cubic, or if I call that way, the cube from where you have the view of the chapter hall, as you see. And yeah, so before I move on to Father Joe, just a small, maybe you can give us a short answer. Do you have a set of guidelines, that you should follow, and maybe some ethical qualities that you have to hold on to, and what are the challenges that you face in general?
Yes, yes, we do. We do have certain not restrictions, but things that we should be careful with. One of those is, of course, the main is privacy. Uh, we cannot just send information that is not, that's not our job. That's actually your job. When officially something is being said that can be
Yeah.
shared, then it's your job. Why? Because it's just part of a conversation, and the capitulars are trying to discern through the Holy Spirit where the congregation has to go. So from the day one, we ask that kind of a privacy and respect for the process and the discernment. That's mainly what is the main point for this. And also we learned how to do this time many are new. So you start learning how to use the machine,
Yeah.
when to translate, and sometimes you forget what language you're speaking. So you don't even realize you're speaking the opposite language. And you notice that you are messing up because people start raising their hands and say, hey, translation, translation. So that's the difficulty of doing this. Sometimes you get mixed with the language, but also with the technical words. So usually they send us in advance the documents, so we can get familiar with the technical words, or the words that usually in the normal days we don't use. We might be aware of them, we know them, but we usually don't use them as much as they would be used in an event like this, like the chapter. Yes.
Correct. Thank you. And people usually do not even understand that the other side of the story, that when someone speaks fast, it is so challenging to you to translate.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I've seen that many a times. Okay, here we go. Finally, Father Joe. Now you are a moderator, and you all are doing exciting and a very important, rather, job. And I think you are the I may call the ones who drive the whole. Although we have the steering committee, the word steering is there, but maybe you are the ones who also drive the steering committee as well, in a certain way. And you have a group. You may even mention them, and tell us what your responsibility is.
Yes, so there are three of us in terms of moderators. There's Father Mario from Sahara, West Sahara, that is in Africa. And then we have Father Anthony from Indonesia, and then myself from South Africa, but originally from Zambia, as I said. So basically, our role is to facilitate the business of the house. And we take turns. So today, Anthony was facilitating, was chairing the sessions or moderating the sessions, and I was assisting him. So basically, we present the program to the assembly, and detailing what is going to be done during the day, and then we propose that they accept the order of the day. And once it's accepted, then the business starts. So basically, it is to moderate, to make sure that the topic that is being discussed is given ample time, and that the capitulars are recognized to speak, to debate their points of view, and to also, it's a little bit of disciplining. So if somebody is talking for so long, then we have to tell them, hey, let other people also speak. And we ring the bell. That's true. And then, as Fernando is saying, when they are speaking fast, then we tell them slow down, because we can see the translators waving hands at us. Yes, slow. So basically, yeah, we keep the order in the house. Maybe in a simple ways is to keep the order. Present the program, give ample time to each topic to be discussed, and then after that, make sure that the procedures are followed. For me, the two things are standing out during the facilitation. For example, during the voting, when we were voting for the leadership, it was quite exciting because then to use the voting machine is quite interesting because you have to explain, press 1 for registering, press 2 for yes, press 3, and then of course it's funny because people get excited and they press something, so you have to repeat the whole thing to see that happen. And then the other exciting thing is just to see the brotherhood in the assembly. We are a family that discusses business, and coming from Africa, I can only think of people gathering as a family, talking to each other, sharing, coming to a consensus. No one dominates. So it's really good to watch, and for me it has been pleasant to moderate this group because it's just like talking to the family and giving a family member a chance to speak at one point or another. So it is exciting. When the topic is hard, it's challenging because then that's when you need to tell the person, well, you have spoken enough. And some topics are, people have passions, they believe strongly, and so, but again, you have to say, let another person also contribute. So in that sense, it can be challenging, and other time it can be confusing even for ourselves. So the people are excited, the topic is exciting, and within inside yourself as a moderator, I am an oblate, and I feel passionate. I feel like I can also contribute, but yet I have to hold back. And then at the end, you get confused. You don't know where to take the group, and they have to bring you to order. Say, okay, this is what you're supposed to do. So in that way, it has been humbling for me, a very good learning experience, and just to be respected, and as brothers, for me, it has been wonderful.
Great. Thank you for your wonderful service. It's amazing how you keep your patience, as you said. At times, you have to hold your nerves, hold your nerve, and so on. Probably, we are fighting with time. Usually, we try to keep it to 30-35 minutes. So let me go to the final round of questions. Father Mokone, now you're the superior of the general house, and you have contacts with, you have probably have met most of these oblates in different capacities, and I'm sure you have spoken to most of them here as well. We are coming towards the end of the chapter. We are in the last week, and what's your general feeling? Are you hopeful that we oblates can move forward as true pilgrims of hope in communion with the church, with the world, and especially with the poor? What's the vibe you get here?
I think we are at a very interesting moment in history. We all had expectations about the chapter, but the chapter took its turn, and the exciting thing was actually the choice of the Superior General, where everybody, had different ideas.
Yeah.
But then I remember running up to the chapter hall thinking that one of the chapter members was elected, but only to find that he was from Sahara. So that in itself is very exciting, that people who gathered together were able to speak with one voice, at least to choose somebody who was not even among them. And then we had also the voting of Father Jim from the US, the counselor for Canada, US.
US.
So that is also another sign that we see that people who are together, if they put their voting and their spirit together, something extraordinary can work out. So in terms of the themes, I can still remember the 5 chapter calls of 2010, and they helped us to move forward. And then I can see that maybe this time, one of the exciting things that can lead us forward, it's the issue of formation.
Right.
Because in the process of trying to restructure, formation has always been a positive element in terms of moving together and moving in the same direction, taking it into different terms, in terms of the languages, in terms of financial support, in terms of solidarity. There is great help. I mean, there's great need, but there's also great help available. So I have a great hope that together we can move. If we can move together forward in solidarity.
For sure, we can move forward in solidarity, and that's my experience as well, being here for the last 3-4 weeks. And Father Joe, and you have seen almost everything happening in the chapter. And what was the most life-giving moment that you experienced at the chapter? And do you feel optimistic about the future after this beautiful 4 weeks together?
Yes, for me, it is the election of the Spirit General, that seeing the Holy Spirit directing the members of the chapter in that election. It's unbelievable that, so many names, so many capable people are in the assembly here, and then for them to pick someone from outside, it reminded me the story of David and Samuel, that, who else, where is the other son? And the Father Chicho, his 3 words when he said Mass are still ringing in my ears. He said simplicity, he said charity, he said obedience. And so I'm very optimistic that as missionaries, these are indeed core values. We are called to be simple, to be charitable, and to be obedient. So I'm very optimistic. For me, we have a bright future.
I'm very optimistic as well. We do have a bright future for sure. To wrap things up, Fernando, this is something little outside your role as the translator, because as you mentioned, you are following your doctoral studies, and you being a missiologist, if I may call that way, are chapter theme, Pilgrims of Hope in Communion. I see very missiological, in that sense. How do you what's your reflection on the chapter theme from the point of view of missiology, and what's your personal opinion?
Usually when we talk about doing mission or being missionaries, we always speak about a journey, moving from one place to another place. And usually when you start that journey, at the end of that journey, or where is your final destination, you're not the same person. So that's being missionary, to be open to that change, to that, as you walk in Spanish we said this camino, in this journey, in this path, you walking with that hope, which I think is very much as part of the missions. We are like the Pope. When we met the Pope, he says, it's really, I'm really happy you want to be somebody walking with the poor, and he said a couple of times, but people of hope. And I think today's world needs a lot of hope. With everything that's going on, it's very easy to lose hope and to lose where we walk into and what that journey is about. And the other thing that came to my mind, especially today, because today is the 60th anniversary of the opening of Vatican II, it's
Correct.
communion. And better mission oriented than that, I think, is we walk together in this. And we're moving into a time that the church is a pilgrim church, like Pope has been said. And the other thing is that the Pope chose the 2025 as the Jubilee year, Pilgrims of Hope. It was really funny to hear the new General Father Chicho address the Pope and says, "We came up with the words first than you all did," speaking about the theme of the Jubilee year. So I think that tells you, and when they were asking how the Vatican chose or Rome chose that word, they say that encapsulates or that synthesize the Pope Francis, his vision. So I think it's in that line of we also want to be pilgrim people walking with full of hope in communion, and may the Spirit guide us to do that and be open to be changed and as we journey together. Yeah. So I think it's very missionary and mission oriented.
Yeah, may the Spirit guide us, and I'm sure so many people around the world, the Oblate family, the Mezzanodian family, prays for us, and we see the fruits here. And so it's time, although I'm so hungry to listen to you more and more. Our time is up, unfortunately, Father Mukone, Father Joe, Father Fernando. So, but let the fire burn and burning, and let's move forward together as oblates of Mary Immaculate. Let me wrap up the today's show with this short video, which is designed just to show the different aspects of our chapter logo. And with that, we end. Have a good evening. We are from Nemi, Italy. Bye bye. God bless you all.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.